The bazillion-dollar question: food and exercise, great shape, healthy body. How does it all work together? How does it happen? Why are we the sickest, fattest, most overweight, obese Western nation that we have ever been? And we know more about exercise and healthy eating and disease counterproduction than ever before in history, and yet we are the worst. We're in the worst shape we've ever been. We're fat and we're unhealthy. Today is all about, let's find out how to change it, because as international fitness professionals, if we can't get the balance between food and exercise, and the quote, this is my absolutely favourite quote, I have 4 puppy dogs. When I tell them it's food time, they jump up and down, they're excited and they're passionate and they can't wait to eat because they love food, it's yummy. I love food, it's yummy. When I say it's exercise time, they jump up and down, they're passionate, they're excited and they can't wait to go. They don't care if it's raining, they don't care if it's windy, they don't care if it's hot, they just want to go exercise. And yet as humans, beautiful, beautiful food. The world is full of yummy food. I go out to a great restaurant and watch people eating the most beautiful food on the planet, and most of them look grumpy. Usually what the look on their faces is guilty. I feel guilty because I'm eating food, even though it's yummy. And then people who are really wanting to eat that food but they're on a diet look at the food and go, wish I could have it, wish I could have it, wish I could have it. And when they do have it, they go, I wish I didn't have that, I feel sick or I feel bad. Today we want to get this balance right between being absolutely passionate about food and eating and making food yummy. I call it an orgasm for your mouth. Food's got to be yummy, and you've got to sit down to your meal and be excited about it, not feel guilty about it. And then exercise is exactly the same. I just am absolutely bamboozled. I walk along the beach, sun's shining, birds are singing, ocean's blue, sand's white. It's a beautiful day, and you see people exercising like this grumpy look on their face, and I say, good morning, how are you? And they go, leave me alone, I'm exercising. I've got to burn calories, I've got to lose weight. See, when you exercise to lose weight, it's boring. When you exercise because you have to, it's boring. When you exercise because you love to move and you love to be healthy, fit and strong, it's a whole different story. So what we want to do is make sure as international fitness professionals we have not the answers to the big questions on how to lose weight, how to be in great shape, how to be fit and healthy, but how to ask the right questions to get the people that we deal with every day to want to exercise and to want to eat food. And that's what do I know? I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, I'm an international fitness professional just like you, but what do I know about getting people to eat healthy food, getting people to eat lollies and enjoying them if they want to eat them. If they don't want to eat them, don't eat them. But if you want to have a lolly, you should have it and enjoy it. How do we get people to eat like that? What do I know about it? I've been a personal trainer now for, well, let's work it out. Started teaching group exercise when I was 13, and I think I started giving out exercise and nutrition advice then too, which probably wasn't a good thing. But as you know, when you're in great shape and when you're fit, healthy and strong, and when you're vibrant and energetic and enthusiastic, people want to know what you've got. And that's the really important thing, and that's probably where we are going to start today, is how do you get into great shape? How do you have energy, enthusiasm, vitality, excitement and enthusiasm for life? How do you get people to look at you and say, I want what she's got, I want what he's got? And it's not about being ripped and buffed and shredded, it's about being fit and healthy and strong. So I've been doing this since I was 13, I'm now well over 40. I'm the fittest and strongest and healthiest I've ever been, which is really exciting. I jump out of bed every morning with energy, enthusiasm and excitement because I love what I do and I love my life. And I love food and I love to exercise. And in the meantime, between 13 and 40 odd plus, I've trained thousands of people, chatted to thousands of people, professionally, publicly, personally, privately. I've helped many, many, many women with eating disorders. I had a contract with a private eating disorder hospital on how to help young girls get fit and healthy and strong after an eating disorder. Thousands and thousands of women who I've seen absolutely guilty about eating food and very, very few happy about eating food. I've watched elite athletes eat magic mountains of food and not put on weight. I've seen some people who look at a piece of cake and it looks like they've put on 5 kilos. And I've seen other people who just can eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and they're still really skinny. So I don't know the answer. What I do have for you today is a great series of questions. which helps your client will help you find the right answers. The challenge we've got as international fitness professionals to do with food is exercise is a little bit less complicated because most people don't exercise. Most people don't have a real strong opinion, belief, conviction about exercise. And when they come to you and ask you for help about their exercise program, it's usually because they don't know and they just want some help. With food, and we're not dietitians and we're not nutritionists and we're not experts in the food area, but the two go together. You can't get a beautiful, superb, and I call it an Italian prestige sports car, to drive really fast and to perform at top level if you put crappy fuel in the engine. So we have to know about fuel. However, just before we get started on that whole process, there's some big rules and regulations when it comes to being an international fitness professional and food. The first one is you'll never hurt your client. So that's to do with exercise and food, and that is the golden, platinum, silver, diamond, bronze, every single precious metal rule that you can possibly think of. You will never hurt your client. Now, I would like to take that a step further and say you'll never hurt them emotionally either. And when we get a little bit deeper into the topic of food, there are too many fitness people that have really hurt their clients, me included, many, many thousands of people, where I've had this real strong attitude about food where you can't have, you mustn't have, you shouldn't have, you don't have, that's bad food. And what we do is we emotionally injure our clients in regards to food. And today we want to get rid of all of that. We want to get rid of the guilt attached to food. We want people to love eating food. We want people to enjoy good food and to appreciate that there is no good or bad food, just the amount in which you eat it. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. So the number one thing is I'll never injure my client. Number two is that we only make recommendations and suggestions. We don't write diet plans. Don't write diet plans. We do not. What do we know? All I'm asking you to do today is to take on board some common sense tools, which are great questions, on how to get your client deciding what's the right way for them to eat. And that's really the most important thing for us. It's not about us telling people what to eat, and I'll give you a classic example. We can say that, for instance, let's pick something, milk. A lot of fitness professionals will tell their clients you have to drink skim milk because it's low in saturated animal fat and it's healthier for you. Now that's a fairly bold statement, because I'd reckon there's some people I'm talking to right now, might be you, that would never ever 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 drink skim milk because you absolutely hate it. There are, and I've said to people in the past, you have to eat fruit and vegetables. Now, we know that's a fact. There's 209 published research studies to show that you should eat more fruit and vegetables. However, if somebody doesn't like fruit and vegetables and you just randomly say to them, you have to eat more fruit and vegetables, like some kind of aggressive school teacher, you just get them on the wrong side. So today isn't about telling people what to eat, how to eat it. All we're going to do is have a look at a really good common sense set of questions to ask to get people thinking about what would be the best way for me to eat so that I'm fit, healthy and strong. And if you're taking notes, can you please write that down for me? Not buff, ripped and shredded. Any of you that have ever been involved in the whole process of preparing for a bodybuilding or body shaping competition to get buff, ripped and shredded, you will understand that that has nothing to do with being healthy, fit and strong. In fact, you feel very unhealthy, you feel very weak, and it's only for a very short period of time. So we're going to start with the whole process that Max is based on as far as exercise and eating. And if you can just take this on board, take it on as a philosophy, take it on as a way of life, because all it is a series of questions that you would ask yourself. So, you know what it is, you've seen it all before. How do I get real yummy? You are as excited about food and exercise as your puppy dog. Woohoo! Jump up and down, get excited. So, the Smarties principle, that's where we start at Max. How do I teach people about food? You don't teach people about food. You don't teach people about food. You make recommendations and suggestions based on the answers to the questions that they give you, or the answers to the questions that you ask. So the first lot of questions we ask is the Smarties principle. Now I know that you know it, but it's like a good song. I don't know about you, but when I hear a good song, I listen to it over and over. I just visited the Buy the Music website just recently, and I bought the same song in about 5 different versions. So not only do I want to listen to that song over and over, I want to listen to it in all the different versions. you're going to now hear the Smarties principle from Rowie. It goes like this. Smarties, S, stands for something I can stick to simply for the rest of my life. Always ask your client that. If they come to you with a, what do you think about this, Rowie? Or what do you think about this exercise program? What do you think about this eating plan? The first question is, do you think you can stick to this simply for the rest of your life? Now, the challenge I have with 2-week programs, 8-week programs, 12-week challenges, get your body into great shape in 14 weeks, they're all short term. And as we know, unless you can stick to it simply for the rest of your life, it becomes a diet. And if it's a diet, then there's a start time and a finish time. And usually, no, mostly, when there's a finish time, what happens is there's a bounce back effect. So anytime that you're depriving yourself, or you say, I can't have, I shouldn't have, I mustn't have, don't have, you're in your mind, you're thinking to yourself, when can I have? And I can only come at you from a female point of view, but for a woman, that means don't have, don't have, don't have, don't have, don't have, and then have the whole packet. And that's what we're trying to avoid for our clients. It's the binge eating that's the challenge. It's the big, large amounts of food that are the challenge. We want to get people to really enjoy every mouthful of food. There are no good or bad foods, only the amount in which you eat it. Now, I'm going to give you a classic example of that, and you've probably heard it before, but it's like that good song theory again. There are no good or bad foods, only the amount in which you eat them. There are no good or bad foods, only the amount in which you eat them. See, an apple is a really good food. It's full of vitamins and nutrients and phytochemicals and antioxidants. It's got fibre in it, so it'll make you do number 2s regularly. It's got fluid in it, so it'll help you with your hydration. And it's great if I eat 1, maybe 2. If I were to eat the whole bowl of apples, how would I feel? For those of you that have ever done that with stone fruit at Christmas time, where you sit down and there's peaches and apricots and plums, and you've had 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 of them over the course of the day, how do you feel the next day? Number 2s are all yucky and sloppy, and you've got a sore tummy, and you've got lots of wind, and it's really smelly, and you feel really uncomfortable. Because fruit is a really good food in the right amount. Now, if I pick up this bowl of lollies and I have a lolly and I thoroughly enjoy it because I happen to love lollies, if I happen to love lollies and I eat it and love it and really enjoy it, that's fantastic. Eat the whole bowl. How am I going to feel? See, this is not good and this is not bad. This is not bad and this is not good. It's the amount in which you eat it. Please come to grips with, understand, appreciate, live the concept of there's no good or bad foods, only the amount in which you eat them. Most importantly, when you're dealing with small children, particularly little girls, because when we start telling little girls that that's a bad food, don't eat it, little girls start to think that's a bad food. If I eat that, I'm a bad person. And then attached to the food automatically is guilt, because only bad fed people eat bad food and bad people should feel guilty. And then we have this whole stigma where we've got little children who don't eat food because they think it's bad, or they eat lots and lots of food because when you tell a child don't do that, what do they normally do? So this is not about a 12-week challenge. This is a long-term lifestyle effect on how we teach our kids to eat really, really well, to be healthy, fit and strong. So what can I stick to simply for the rest of my life? Always ask yourself that question. Can I stick to this simply for the rest of my life? M stands for moderation. Is this eating plan, is this exercise plan in moderation so I can stick to it for the rest of my life? Moderation simply means that I can spread it out over the course of the day, the course of the week, the course of the month, the course of the year, and there's not too much of anything and there's not too little of anything. There are 4 macronutrients, as you know. There's alcohol, carbohydrate, protein and fat. The body needs all of them, bar alcohol. Some people will argue that. But we need carbohydrate, we need protein, and we need good fat for the body to survive. However, if you have too much of one and not enough of the other, you get an imbalance, which means it's not in moderation. So always ask yourself, don't ever tell, just always ask, is what you're doing now in moderation, and is it something you can stick to for the rest of your life? Is it achievable for that person? Possibly not for you, but for your client, you always have to ask them, is this achievable for you? Because one of the big challenges we have is that if we set people up to fail, They then associate healthy eating or the attempt to healthy eat, and they associate exercise or the attempt to exercise regularly with failure. And we want people to achieve, because when people are achieving, then they want to do more of it. I heard a great story just recently of a young teenage boy from the UK, and he had started swimming, but in the UK he was a little bit average. And he didn't really enjoy swimming, and it wasn't something that he loved to do. He came to live in New Zealand, and he went to his first swimming carnival and he won everything. He achieved at the top level. He won everything. This young man now wants to swim for New Zealand and then swim for the World Championships and swim for a gold medal, because achieving is exciting. If we set our clients up to fail, and often the eating plans that we suggest and make recommendations for, they're too hard. So when somebody can't do it, it's too hard, they fail, they don't achieve, then they don't stick to it for the rest of their lives. Exercise plans are exactly the same. If I say to somebody, you need to exercise for 20 minutes. If they do 15 minutes and they're puffed or tired or their muscles are sore or they don't want to go anymore, but I said they have to do 20 minutes, now they feel like a failure because they haven't achieved what I asked them to achieve. But if I ask my client, how about we pop you on the treadmill or the bike or go out for have a dance and just keep going. If you can do a minute, that's fantastic. If you do 3 minutes, that's awesome. Just go for as long as you can, and if you get puffed, slow down and stop. If I suggest they do 2 minutes and they do 3 minutes, how do they feel? Failure, achieve, failure, achieve. Achieve! They feel like they've achieved. So if I've achieved at 3 minutes, then I'm excited to go and do 4 minutes. But if I say do 20 and only do 15, then they feel like a loser and it's not achievable, so they don't want to keep going. I believe that as international fitness professionals, this is our #1 responsibility. A, don't hurt your client, and B, set them up to achieve, not to fail. Set them up that they can do this for the rest of their lives, because I promise you, having been doing this for such a long time, I believe there are people I have killed. I believe there are people who are dead because of me. I believe that there are exercise programs that I wrote with 15 exercises, 3 sets of 10, 3 times a week. And I said, if you don't do this 3 times a week, don't bother. Now we know that strength training is great for osteoporosis, it's great for coronary heart disease, it's great for type 2 diabetes, it's great for speeding up your metabolism to fight against obesity. Do you know how many people aren't doing a gym program because I wrote them a program that wasn't achievable for their lifestyle? Some of those people are dead. I don't know who they are. All I'm asking is that you and I, as international fitness professionals, stop doing that. Stop writing programs that people can't stick to. Stop giving them eating plans that are absolutely impossible. Women need chocolate. If you say to a woman, you can't have chocolate, and she absolutely loves it, the most important thing is she's going to be thinking about it now. I had another classic example of a lady who said to me, I'm not going to eat bread, Rowie, because I've heard that carbohydrate's bad for you. I said, fantastic. Let me know how you go with that. It's not my job and not my role to tell her what to eat and what not to eat, especially when she comes to me and says, I've decided not to eat bread. About a week later, she came back to me and she said, Rowie, I'm finding this really difficult. I said, why is that? And she goes, well, I never used to eat bread, so I thought it would be really easy not to eat bread. She said, but since I've told myself that I can't have it, all I ever see now is the bread shop, and all I ever smell is freshly baked bread, and all I want to eat is bread. It's interesting how the brain responds so amazingly to you can't have, you mustn't have, you shouldn't have, don't have, and then we think about it all the time. You say to somebody, don't do that, and the first thing they think about is doing it because the brain doesn't understand the word don't. So please, achievable, realistic, and realistic usually fits into what they can fit into their life. Is this a realistic eating plan for you? Is what we're going to ask you to do here realistic for the career that you have? Is it realistic for the family lifestyle that you have? If you have to weigh it, measure it, cook it, do it differently to the rest of the family, often for your client that isn't realistic to fit in with their lifestyle. So always have to ask those questions. Is this realistic for you to stick to simply for the rest of your life? T stands for time efficient. Very, very, very busy people in the world today. And it's really nice to say, oh, let's bake a lovely healthy cake. However, some people don't have time to bake. Some people don't even have an oven. Some people just have a little microwave and that's all they've even ever had in their kitchen. So the question you have to ask is this time efficient for your lifestyle? It's nice to chop up fresh vegetables. It's the best way to eat vegetables. But for some people, that's not time efficient. Maybe the most efficient for them is to get a packet of frozen vegetables and quickly heat it up in the microwave. Now, you can argue that point with me, but it's better for people to eat vegetables than to not eat vegetables. And there are some interesting research studies to show that frozen vegetables are better than fresh ones because they come snap frozen out of the garden onto the plate. So have a little think about that from a common sense point of view. Interesting and enjoyable is the I and the E. Is this eating plan, is this exercise plan going to be interesting for you? Is it going to be enjoyable for you? See, it's easy to say you should do this, but unless you're going, oh, yummy, this is fun, I'm really enjoying it, it's very unlikely the person's going to stick to it for very long. So, not interesting and enjoyable for you. Please, it's not about you, it's about your client. Always ask, is this going to be interesting for you to do? Or even better, what would you find interesting to do? Is this going to be enjoyable for you? Food should be interesting, by the way. The last one's really interesting. There's that word again, interesting. The last one in the Smarties principle is science. Of course, our eating plans and our exercise plans need to be based on rock solid science. But I'll give you a couple of interesting analogies or examples. It is recommended that we drink, you ready? Water, very important, drink water. The scientific recommendation for water is 1 litre of fluid for every 25 kilograms of body weight and 1 litre of fluid for every hour of exercise. Which is again, interesting the word, an interesting suggestion, because you'll often hear drink 8 glasses or drink 2 litres. But have you ever asked yourself this question? What if the person's bigger person, what if they're smaller? What if they only weigh 45 kilos because they're a tiny little gymnast? Do they still need 2 litres, but somebody that's 120 kilo elite athlete shot putter, do they only need 2 litres as well? Now, the scientific recommendation is 1 litre for every kilogram of body weight. Did I say that right? No, 25 kilograms of body weight. That would be a lot of water. 1 litre for every 25 kilograms of body weight and 1 litre for every hour of exercise. But some people exercise and they don't sweat at all because they don't put very much energy in. There are some people who exercise for an hour and they just lose bucket and bucket loads of water. So, what's the recommendation? The scientific recommendation is 1 litre for every 25 kilograms of body weight and 1 litre for every hour of exercise. I'll give you another reason why that could be a little bit complicated. I've had several clients, but one in particular, who was over 100 kilos. Now, if I said to that client, who, by the way, said to me, I hate drinking water because do you know what fish do in water? If I recommended for her, and let's say she was well over 100 kilos, but let's give it a round number of 100 kilos. I said to her, a lady who doesn't like to drink water, I need you to drink 4 litres of water every day plus an extra litre for the hour walk that you're doing. So I need you to drink 5 litres of water every day. And the lady's not drinking any water at all. Do you think she'd even bother starting? And that's the whole challenge. If we set people up to fail because it's not achievable, they often don't even get started. When I used to say to people, we have to do this gym program 3 times a week or don't bother, guess what? They didn't bother. A lot of people, if they missed Magical Day Monday, they wouldn't come Wow Day Wednesday or Fun Day Friday because they'd missed 1 day already. The important thing is that we make this whole process Smarties, something people can stick to for the rest of their life, something that's in moderation, something that's achievable, something that's realistic, something that's time efficient, interesting, enjoyable, and then based on science. Yes, science says, 209 research studies, eat more fruit and vegetables. Absolutely. There are some governments in the world who have actually said you need to eat 7 pieces of vegetables and 3 pieces of fruit, or 5 pieces of vegetables and 3 pieces of fruit, or 10 pieces of vegetables and 3 pieces of fruit, or 2 pieces of fruit. There's all different recommendations. If somebody's eating no vegetables and I say to you, I need you to eat 7 pieces of vegetables every day, and they don't even like vegetables, are they even going to bother? So ask, and now comes this fantastic series of questions that makes this whole process so very, very, very simple. We don't make recommendations and suggestions even. And by law, as an international fitness professional, you can make recommendations and suggestions. I'm asking you not to do that. I'm asking you to ask the right questions to get your client to make their own recommendations and suggestions. You might be leading them and guiding them in a general direction. However, when they say, I'm going to do this, versus you say, you have to do this, and I'm going to say that again, If they say to you, Rowie, this is what I'd like to do, I think this would be good for me, this is something I can stick to simply for the rest of my life, it's in moderation, it's achievable, it's realistic, time efficient, it's enjoyable for me, versus you tell them you have to do this, or worse. And I'll give you another example. I was sitting in a huge fitness facility in one of the big capital cities, and it was a health club and they had a coffee shop, and I was sitting thoroughly enjoying my beautiful frothy cappuccino, like thoroughly enjoying it. And a personal trainer came out from the gym and saw one of her clients also thoroughly enjoying her big fluffy cappuccino. And the trainer said to her client like this, you ready? Don't you drink that! Do you understand how many calories there are in a cappuccino? This poor woman, A, was so embarrassed that she was spoken to like that. And B, you could see that before, although she was thoroughly enjoying her cup of coffee, she was no longer enjoying her cup of coffee. I don't want us to take away the pleasure of food, the pleasure of a coffee from our clients. What we want to do is make sure they enjoy every aspect of their life. So the Smarties principle is something we really need to take on board. And then we ask a series of questions which will give us the right answers. Not us, our clients. And all we've got to do is go, what a great idea. So what we're going to have a look at is you. Because right now, you are the most important person in the world. If you are fit, healthy and strong, if you are fit, healthy and strong, if you are fit, healthy and strong, if you are energetic, enthusiastic and excited about life, if you are vibrant and full of energy, people are going to say, what are you doing? And you're going to say nothing. You're not going to say nothing, I'm not doing nothing. You are not going to answer the question. Because as we know as superb communicators is that people don't want to know what you do, they want to have what you've got. So it's not about what you do, it's about how you can help them do what they need to do to get the same effect that you've got. Because what they want is your energy and your enthusiasm and your excitement, and they want to be fit and healthy and strong like you are. So the next little bit is about you. I'm going to ask you a series of questions and I want you to seriously think about them. Then I want you to practice asking those questions so that you can ask them fluently and effectively with great communication, with empathy, with understanding, and you will look at your client deep down into their soul and help them feel healthy, fit and strong with this series of questions. So it goes like this. It's the W questions, which you already know. I've dropped the pen. The W questions that you already know, but we're going to attach them to the food process. So we ask people, what is your #1 health and fitness goal? We always ask that question. It's a great question. What is your #1 health and fitness goal? Why do you want to achieve that goal? Why is it really important to you to have that particular thing happen in your life? Why do you want to put those black jeans on? Why do you want to wear that white dress? Why is it so important to you to win the grand final? Why do you want to run a marathon? Why do you want to compete in a body shaping competition? Why? And always make it specific to their goal. So where is that happening? Where exactly do you want to lose weight? Where exactly on your body would you like to be thinner or more muscular or tighter or stronger? Where exactly? Where is the marathon? It's a visual question. Where's the grand final going to be? So the first question is, what do you want? The next question is why. You need to get as many whys as you possibly can. The next question is where. Where are you going to achieve that? The next question is when. When. And if your client doesn't have a specific date and time for achieving their goal, you have to create it for them. You have to say very specifically, if you did know when you wanted to wear those black jeans, when exactly would it be? Do you have a family reunion coming up? Well, we all know that's a great example of people wanting to be in great shape because their family hasn't seen them for a long time. When's the next time you need to get your photo taken? When's the next time you're going to the beach and you need to wear little clothes? When's the next time you're going to an event where people haven't seen you for a long time? What is the exact date and the exact time? Now, I know you've probably heard this example before because it's mine and I use it all the time. I remember sitting down with two ladies. And by the way, I will never, ever, ever sit down with two people ever again to ask them their personal health and fitness goals, because personal training is exactly that, personal training. And if you sit down with two people, they're always, is this the right thing for me to say while this other person's listening? So I learned from this experience. I had two ladies together and I said to them, what is your number one health and fitness goal? One lady kind of haphazardly, wishy-washy, oh, eventually I'm going to lose some weight. I think I should probably lose some weight eventually. The other lady said to me, and I'm paraphrasing but very close to the quote, she said, on the 24th of December at 7:30, it's 24th of December, 7:30 Christmas party, I'm not walking into that Christmas party ever again as the fat chick. And she looked me in the face and she was aggressively picturing herself not walking into the party as the fat chick. So of course I asked, where exactly is the party and what exactly do you want to look like? She had an exact date, an exact time, an exact feeling that she wanted to have by achieving her goal. Out of those two women, who do you think achieved the goal quicker? Who do you think achieved the goal, let alone quicker? So if your client doesn't have an exact date and exact time, you have to create it for them. The next question, so we've got what do you want, why do you want it, where do you want it, when do you want it? Now is the visualization, and remember that the pleasure question has to come first, because most people, and we can argue this one too, but most people are not motivated by pleasure. Most people aren't motivated by the pleasure of being in great shape. They've never been in great shape. They don't know what that feels like. They're motivated by the pain of feeling fat. They're motivated by the pain of feeling low energy. They're motivated by the pain of not being able to make love to their wife. They're motivated by the pain of not being able to fit into their clothes. It's not because they're excited about looking fantastic. Still ask the pleasure question, but make sure it comes before the pain question. So you ask this question: how will you feel when, on the 24th of December at 7:30, you walk into the Christmas party looking amazing? And tell me what that is. White dress, tight arms, ripped abdominals. What is that? And I'm just giving you her paraphrase because that's what she wanted. So how will that make you feel? And give me 3 words to describe that. Now these 3 words are the incredible part of this process, because those 3 words aren't your words, they're your client's words, and you're now going to use those words to motivate them to eat beautifully and to exercise hard and to get fit, healthy and strong. Their words, not yours. So if your client says to you, I'm going to feel bloody sensational, then those are the 2 words that you're going to use when you're training them. I want you to do 2 more repetitions for me so that when you walk into the Christmas party, you will feel bloody sensational. Versus, how will you feel on the 24th of December at 7:30 if you do have to walk into the Christmas party again as the fat chick? Now, I can only use those words because they were the words that she used with me. I could never say those words off the top of my head. So please describe for me how you will feel if you have to walk again as the fat chick. Now, I can't give you the swear words that she used. What I will share with you is that when we trained, I used those same swear words because they're her words. And they are the words that are going to motivate her to do 1 or 2 more repetitions, go 5 or 10 seconds more on the treadmill, to skip 10 or 20 more times, to raise the elevation on the treadmill 1 more. See, it's the little tiny bits that we can get our clients to do that make the difference. It's when they think they're going to stop and you get them to do a couple more. It's when they think they don't want to train today because it's too hot, too cold, too hard, they're too tired. You get them to come in and you get that little bit more out of them they would have either not done at all or they wouldn't have been able to do on their own. That's the difference between training by yourself and training with a trainer. Some people say to me, oh, you know, I'm just going to train people until they're ready to train by themselves. Well, we're never ready to train by ourselves. That's like saying to a golfer or a tennis player or a football player, you don't need a coach. You can just get a coach until you're really good and then you can play by yourself. It doesn't work like that. It's the 1 or 2 more repetitions that make the difference. It's the 1 or 2 more seconds that you as their coach get them to do. It's the 1 or 2 more pieces of fruit and vegetables that they didn't want to eat that you inspire and encourage them to eat that makes the difference. So what do you want? Why do you want it? Where do you want it? When do you want it? How will you feel when you achieve it? 3 words to describe that for me, at least 3. How will you feel if you don't achieve it? And use those words. Now comes the big sale question. The big question that's going to determine whether or not this person gets started and gets going. It goes like this. If you keep doing what you're doing now, will you achieve the goal of walking into the Christmas party on the 24th of December looking bloody sensational versus being the fat chick again? I've now been my client's unreasonable friend. I haven't patted her on the back and said, it's all right, you're beautiful anyway, it's okay. She's come to me with a goal, and my responsibility as an international fitness professional is to help her achieve that goal. And can she? Of course she can. Of course she can. She's going to have my support, she's going to have my encouragement, she's going to have my knowledge, my wisdom, my experience, and I'm going to get the very best out of her. And I need you to talk like that too. You are an international fitness professional who is or already are helping people achieve their goals. What an amazing career. So funny, people say to me, how can you be so happy all the time? When you have a career like this, when you are helping people every single day to achieve their goals, to look and feel fantastic and to be healthy, fit and strong, of course you've got a great career. So how will you feel if you do achieve your goals? How will you feel if you don't? If you keep doing what you're doing now, will you achieve the goal? It's a huge question. If the answer is yes, because some personal trainers say to me, Ro, what if they're already on track to achieving their goals? Well, it goes like this. Most people, and I'll give you the statistics, it's really simple. 90% of people stop 10% before achieving the goal. So even if your client is on track to achieving their goal, even if they're on track, 90% of people stop 10% before the goal. And there's some really interesting examples of that. People that enter into a bodybuilding or body shaping competition, 90% of them stop even training and stop getting prepared for the competition about 10 days before the competition, because that's the toughest time. In a marathon, most people hit the wall at about 35 kilometres. They've already come 35 kilometres. They've only got 7.2 kilometres to go. And most people, that's where they hit the wall and they slow down, they get really tired. And if they're going to give up, that's where people give up. At 35 kilometres. How? You've come 35, you've got 7.2 to go. So there are people that will say to you, yes, I'm absolutely on track. Well, to guarantee that you achieve the goal, to guarantee that you win, to guarantee that you can walk into the Christmas party on the 24th of December at 7:30 and look bloody sensational and not be the fat chick, we're going to train you and I together to make sure that you achieve your goal. Most people won't say to you, though, that they're on track. Most people will say to you, no, if I keep doing what I'm doing now, I will not achieve my goal. I need your help. Next question, really simple. What do you want me to do to help you as your fitness professional, as your personal trainer? What do you want me to do to help you achieve your goal? And if they don't know, simple question, if you did know, what would it be? Might be this. You've tried lots of things in the past. What didn't work so that I don't do that? The last two questions, very important. What are you prepared to do? Because even if I make recommendations and suggestions of healthy eating and different drinking habits, I'm a bit dribbled, that's always good. Of an exercise plan, and we do have a plan to get you into shape. It doesn't matter. Because I can't train for you, I can't lift for you, I can't run for you, I can't kick for you, I can't eat for you. Ultimately, the question is, what are you prepared to do? So I can make recommendations and suggestions, I can ask great questions, but ultimately, what are you prepared to do to make sure that you walk into the Christmas party on the 24th of December at 7:30 looking bloody sensational, not being the fat chick? Last question is, what barriers have held you back in the past? Really important to ask that question, because simply that's the excuse question. You have to clear up all the excuses and all the reasons why, and they're not reasons, they're just excuses. If this person was going to achieve the goal, they would have done it already. That's why they need your help. So there's been some barriers that have held them back in the past. It could have been the money, it could have been the time, it could have been their lack of family support, all of those things. Ultimately, however, it's them. They've held themselves back, and you've got to break down those barriers and find out what stopped you before, so we don't allow that to stop you again. And you've often will hear me saying this to my clients. So you've used time before as an excuse, have you? I'm going to give you an exercise program that's going to take up the bare ass minimum time for 2 minutes every day. Can you find 2 minutes out of 24 hours every day to commit to your body? And the reason I use the 2-minute analogy is because everybody commits to 2 minutes a day to brush their teeth. Even people who only brush their teeth once a day will still, if they only brush them once a day, they usually brush for about 2 minutes. If you're in a hurry, some people brush for a minute in the morning and a minute at night. Some people are extra pedantic about their teeth and they brush 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes at night. But ultimately, everybody brushes their teeth. Everybody brushes their teeth. So if we can get people to commit to a bare-ass minimum at the BAM of 2 minutes a day, then it's achievable. Yes, absolutely. Even if somebody's really tired, even if they're stressed, even if their whole life's driving them crazy, they can still find 2 minutes every day. So I won't let people use time as an excuse. I won't let people use money as an excuse, because it's never the money. It's the allocation of the money. People find money to drink alcohol. People find money to drink coffee. People find money to gamble. People find money to go out. I go out in the capital cities of Australia and New Zealand and America on a fun day, Friday or Saturday evening, and usually it isn't to go out to a nightclub, I promise. I'm usually out walking or running late at night, and I see people who tell me, I've got no money to have a personal trainer, I've got no money to go to the gym, and they're absolutely blind drunk. Now, you cannot drink out unless you've got a large amount of money. People find money to buy clothes, people find money for junk food. There's more junk food sold in low socioeconomic areas than there are in high socioeconomic areas. Money's never the challenge. It's usually the laziness or the lack of discipline from your client, and that's the number one reason why people don't achieve their goal, and that's why it's your responsibility as a personal trainer, as a fitness professional, to stop them making excuses, stop them from blaming outside environment for not achieving their goals, and make sure that they do. So if you've ever been one of those people that said, I don't have time, I don't have the money, I don't have support, here's a really interesting one. My husband doesn't support me exercising. We'll get a new husband. I have said that to so many of my female clients, because if your husband doesn't want you to be healthy, fit and strong, then he doesn't love you. If he wants you to be weak and fat and flabby and stressed and overweight and feel bad about yourself, you're with the wrong guy. So I'm begging you as the international fitness professional, you have to find the time. You have to find the money. Don't talk to me about, I don't need a personal trainer because I can train hard enough by myself. You need a trainer to make sure that you do the last 2 repetitions that you couldn't do by yourself. The trainer's going to help you. You can't sell a product that you don't believe in, and you can only truly believe in it when you use it. Imagine me standing up in front of 1,000 people talking about health and fitness, and I was a smoker, drank large amounts of alcohol, ate rubbish food and didn't exercise. I could still talk it because I have no challenge obviously talking in public, but there would be a severe lack of integrity there, and I promise you that what you'll be doing is pulling down our whole industry. Please don't do that. So that's the goal sets of questions. Now I always start the next set of questions, which is about yummy, yummy food, with the analogy of that prestigious European sports car, and I prefer Italian sports cars, but that's just me. If you had a prestigious Italian sports car and you wanted to drive it in a Formula 1 Grand Prix, would you take it down to the petrol station and fill it up with regular unleaded fuel? And of course the answer is no. You would put high performance petrol, high performance oil, you'd probably even try and find some high performance air to put into the tyres. You'd have high performance people looking after the car, and everything about the environment would be designed to help you win the race. Well, guess what? I think that this human body that we have is far more important than any Formula 1 race, and this human body that you have is far more important than a prestigious Italian sports car, and it requires much better fuel and much better care than any Italian sports car. That's what I believe, passionately believe, and I hope you do too. It's so funny, I also have really good friends who have horses. Can you imagine spending $1 million on a racehorse and then feeding it some kind of takeaway food for breakfast, lunch and dinner, giving it large amounts of alcohol and sticking a cigarette in its mouth and saying to this prestigious horse that's going to race in a Melbourne Cup or a big horse race, don't do any exercise, just lie there and take it easy. You know, horses that race are meant to race, they're meant to run. That's when they're the best at what they do. Your body is far better than any horse. It's far better than any Italian sports car. So how do we look after it? And that's the question that I want you to ask your client. What would be the best way to look after your superb performance machine? Let's have a look at what you're doing at the moment. So the series of questions, and I'm going to put them up now, in regards to food. So the first question is, what is your number one health and fitness goal in relationship to goals? When we're talking about food, the what comes in 3 separate parts. So the first one is, what do you absolutely love to eat at the moment? What do you love to eat? Love to eat. And get a list of things. Now, if somebody says, oh, you know, I like all food, no, specifically. If there was food that somebody said to you, you can't have that anymore, you'd be disappointed. What do you love to eat? What gives you an orgasm of the mouth? What do you salivate over? What are some of the foods that you just really want to eat every single day? What do you love to eat? Get a list of those things from your client. And then comes the magic words. It goes like this. Guess what? Rowie, you've told me that you love bread. You've told me that you love hazelnut Italian gelati. You've told me that you love brandy snaps. Well, guess what? Your eating plan will always include those foods that you absolutely love. And I want you to watch what happens to your client's face and their physique. Because they're coming to you expecting you to tell them what they can't have, mustn't have, shouldn't have, don't have, you're not allowed to have ever again because it's bad for you. And instead you say, guess what? Whatever eating plan and recommendations and suggestions that we put together for you, they will always include Italian gelati, they'll always include bread, and they'll always include brandy snaps. And I'm going to go, oh, wow, and I love you. Now, remember, there's no good or bad foods, only the amount in which we eat them. And if you can grasp that concept, really understand it, really live it, breathe it, you're going to take away all the guilt that's attached to food and get people excited about eating food. So the first question is, what do you absolutely love to eat? Obviously, the next question then is, what are the foods that you really don't like to eat? What are the foods that if somebody held a gun to your head, you would rather die than eat them? There's a team training concept that we've done here at Max with our team, where we pick some of the most revolting foods on the planet, and as a team you have to eat those foods. So things like oysters and raw onion and what else was there, blue vein cheese and mussels, and just things that most people don't like to eat. Now, as I've said those things, some of you might have said, oh, but I love them, they're my favourite. Can you see why it's really, really silly to say that's a good food and that's a bad food? Because some people love what you hate and other people hate what you love. So what you eat is irrelevant. We have to ask what they eat. So what do you absolutely love to eat? What don't you like to eat? And again, the magic words, when you've got a list of things that this person absolutely hates to eat, you're going to say this. Guess what, Rowie? Your eating plan of the recommendations and suggestions that we make together for you to be fit, healthy and strong are never going to include mushrooms. Now, you might love mushrooms, but this little blonde-haired lady, I'd rather eat fungus because that's what I think they are. I just don't want to eat mushrooms. So find out what your client loves to eat and say you'll never have to eat it. Sorry, you'll absolutely, we will encourage you to eat it and enjoy it. Find out what they don't like to eat and promise them that they'll never have to eat it. What happens now is we're starting to build rapport, we're starting to build trust. This person's now thinking, wow, I was expecting to come here being told what to do, and instead my trainer or my fitness professional has already told me, guess what? You can eat chocolate. Guess what? You never have to eat broccoli, whatever. The next question, really simply, is if we went to your cupboard, your fridge, your pantry, your shopping trolley, and had a look in general at what you like to eat. Now, this is replacing the normal question that most average fitness professionals ask, which is, so what did you eat yesterday? Well, first of all, it's not the exercise that you did yesterday that got you into the shape that you're in now. So if you're really, really strong, it wasn't the weights that you lifted yesterday that made you really, really strong. And if you haven't lifted weights for a really long time, it's not yesterday's weight training that's going to make a difference. So what you ate yesterday doesn't matter. What matters is what you're eating on a regular basis over a long period of time. The Smarties principle. What have you been sticking to simply? So what will we find in your cupboard? What will we find in your pantry? What will we find in your fridge? What will we find in your freezer? What will we generally find? What do you eat? It's this really easy question. Now, what happens now is it takes the pressure off, excuse me, itchy face, takes the pressure off the person to tell you, because here's what also the other thing that I've found from many, many years of experience. Say to somebody, what did you eat yesterday? If somebody's coming to see a personal trainer or a fitness professional, and one of two things will happen if they're coming to see you today. One of two things would have happened yesterday. One is they would have eaten all the things that they think you're going to tell them they can't have today. So if they think today is diet day, yesterday they've eaten pizza and chocolate and alcohol, and they've just put as much food into their mouth as they possibly can right up until midnight, knowing that today is diet day, and then they'll be able to eat that stuff again. First thing that's happened. Or second is what they've done is they've said, okay, I'm going to the personal trainer tomorrow, I'm going to the fitness professional tomorrow, and they're going to ask me what I eat. So today I better eat really well. So often I've said to people, what did you eat yesterday? And they say to me, well, I had cereal with skim milk for breakfast, and I had a salad sandwich for lunch, and I had lean meat and vegetables for dinner, which is lovely if that's what you ate yesterday. But as I said, it's irrelevant what you ate yesterday. It's what you've been eating consistently over the last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years that's made the difference. And here's another question I always ask my clients. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and you absolutely loved what you saw? Or when was the last time you had so much energy, enthusiasm, excitement for life, you jumped out of bed and went, I love my life? Now, if somebody says to you 30 years, it's not going to be 30 minutes before we get them back into that way of life and back into that feeling that way and looking that way. And if they can envision that themselves, then we're already on track. So what is it that you like to eat? What is it that you don't like to eat? What are you currently eating at the moment? Really easy questions. The other thing that does is it takes the pressure off again, because it's not about what you ate yesterday. It's about what you eat in general. So first question is what? The next question can be very complicated. Why do you eat? Now, for most people who have a healthy relationship with food, why do you eat is a simple question. And the answer is because I'm hungry. I eat because I'm hungry. What we're going to do now is have a look at the reason why people are overweight, the reason why people are fat, the reason why people become obese, and also the reason why people have eating disorders. Now, this is not Rowie psychology, this is just how the world works. I'm going to have a really close look at it, because this question here opens up a very, very large can of big worms if you don't have an understanding of that particular question. So, the why question, why do you eat food, is based on what we call the emotional eating scale. Now, I would draw it, and once you've drawn it, I would ask yourself all of these same questions. The emotional eating scale 0 to 10 simply means a rating or a scale of your emotional relationship with food. I'm going to say that again. Your emotional versus your logical relationship with food. Are you emotional about food? Are you logical about food? So, if you are 0 at this end of the scale, we would call that logical. You have a logical relationship with food, and we'll have a look what that means. If you are at this end of the scale, we say you have an emotional relationship with food. Now, if you've ever looked at the differences between men and women, you'll understand that women predominantly are emotional and men seem to be predominantly logical. So women, we focus on our emotions and the way things make us feel, and men tend to be, and this is only a generalisation, I'm not trying to be sexist, it's just a generalisation. I can only come at you from a female perspective, and as I said, now well over 30 years of training people and asking these exact same questions, it seems to be that men are more logical and women are more emotional. So let's have a look at that in regards to food. Logical goes like this, and again I'll give you a story. Another reason why I never ask questions of two people together. I had a husband and wife in my office, and I was asking them the series of W questions, and we asked this question: what did you eat yesterday? Which is again the reason why I don't ask this question, because it's such a silly question. So I asked the husband and wife together, what did you eat yesterday? Now I want you to picture this. I'm not a very good actress, but please picture this and what happened. The lady started writing, and she, like I'm talking flat out, she remembered everything that she'd eaten the day before, right down to I had 2 peanuts out of my children's lunch box. I had 1 Tic Tac when a girlfriend offered it to me. I had 2 mouthfuls of my kids' cordial when they came home from school. And not only did she remember all of those 1 and 2 mouthfuls of things, but she knew the exact calorie count, carbohydrate count, fat count, and protein count of all of those foods that she'd eaten. So she's madly writing. I asked the exact same question of her husband, who was kind of sitting there like this. And he was sitting there and he was sitting there and his arms crossed and he was sitting there. And quite a bit of time went past and she's madly writing, madly writing. He digs his wife in the ribs and he says, "Darling, do you remember what I ate yesterday?" I have never seen someone get quite so emotional about food. He was just so cool, calm and collected, could not remember what he ate yesterday. Now the reason for that was because he had no emotional attachment to his food. He forgot about it. It didn't matter anymore because what he ate yesterday was irrelevant, because it's not logical to focus on what I did yesterday because you can't change what you did yesterday. But here's what his wife did. "Oh my God, I cannot believe, I just am blown away that you can't remember what you ate yesterday. For lunch yesterday, you had half a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Do you have any understanding how many fat grams, how many calories, and how bad Kentucky Fried Chicken is? You ate half a bucket all by yourself. That is disgusting. I can't believe I'm even married to a man that would eat half a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken." This is not a logical response to his question. This man was so unemotional about his food and no guilt attached to his food that he couldn't even remember what he ate yesterday. His wife, on the other hand, I must stop dropping my pencil. His wife, on the other hand, was so emotional about food. Did you hear her comment? "I can't believe I'm even married to a man that would eat such bad food." See, when you are logical about food, there's no good or bad food. There's just food. When you're hungry, you eat. If you're not hungry, you don't eat. And the beautiful thing about the logical end of this scale is if you carefully listen to your body, what do you think hunger is? Hunger is your body saying to you, it's time to eat. And if you listen carefully to your body, it will tell you exactly when it's time to eat. Most people don't eat because they're hungry. So when we ask the question, why do you eat? Somebody that's logical will say, because I'm hungry. Because I haven't eaten for 4 hours and I probably need some food. If you ask somebody who's emotional about food, why do you eat? It might come out like this: because I'm angry. Because I've had a bad day. Because I've had a fight with my boyfriend. Because I always eat when I'm emotional. Because I'm angry with my husband. I'm eating because it's the wrong time of the month. And of course I've got to eat chocolate because women need chocolate. See, these are all emotional attachments to food. When we eat emotionally, not logically, we either eat too much or not enough. The other interesting thing about logical and emotional, a logical person, when they put on some weight, they'll do this. Blokes do it all the time. Put on some weight, better lose some weight. It's a logical assumption. It's like saying, oh, there's a guy that's tall. See, there's nothing politically incorrect about saying, oh, he's tall. But very politically incorrect to say to your wife, oh, you're fat. By the way, some wives need to be told that they're fat because nobody in their life is telling them that. And they are. And that's okay if you're fit, healthy and strong. But if you're fat, weak, unfit and feel lousy, got no energy, aren't jumping out of bed with energy and enthusiasm and excitement in the morning, then we need to do something about it. Maybe somebody needs to tell you, you need to lose some weight, because if you lost some weight, you'd have more energy, more vitality. You'd be able to make love to your wife. You'd be able to do up your shoelace without your face going purple. This is me being emotional. So the illogical person, when they need to lose weight, will just say, I need to lose some weight, and they'll start eating a little bit less and moving a little bit more. They'll start eating a little bit less and start moving a little bit more, because that would be logical. Emotional. Oh my God, I've got to go on a diet. Oh, I hate going on a diet because when I'm on a diet, I can't eat chocolate, and I love to eat chocolate, but I shouldn't eat chocolate because it's bad for me. When I eat chocolate, it makes me feel bad. Bad if people eat chocolate. Oh, I'm such a bad person because I eat chocolate. These are not logical conversations that we have. A logical person, unemotionally attached to food, will have a piece of fruit or a lolly or a piece of bread or whatever it is that they like to eat at the time, because they listen to what their body's telling them, and their body says, you need to eat some. And your body will tell you, if you need some energy, you'll need some carbohydrate. If you need some iron, you should eat some red meat. If your body will just hear it and understand it and tell you, if you listen carefully. But when you're up this end of the emotional scale, where you are no longer logically attracted to food, you are emotionally attracted to food. What happens now at this end of the scale, so I'm going to talk predominantly now about the 10 end, is every time you sit down to eat something, you have an argument inside your head. Should I eat this? Shouldn't I eat this? Is this good food? Is this bad food? It's bad food, but I really want to eat it because I really love it. I shouldn't eat it because it's bad, and when I eat it, I'm going to feel bad, but I really want it. And there's this constant discussion, argument, abuse almost inside your head about whether or not you should eat it. Now, what happens is, if you say, no, I'm not going to eat that, people will say, well, I feel good because I didn't eat that food. Other people will eat the food, feel bad because they ate it, and now there's guilt attached to the food. What I'm talking about here is where food is totally controlling your life. Now, obviously, there's different, you can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the scale. However, at 10, you must understand this, please. It's when food is controlling your life. I'll give you an example. We're inside the Max College. Every day at Max, there is available a fresh fruit bowl. Every single day, the college coaches, the girls are awesome. They always find the very best, yummiest, crispiest, bright coloured fruit, and there's always fruit available. There's always whole grain cereal, and there's always Cocoa Pops or Nutri-Grain or some kind of what people term as yummy cereal. We always have lollies at Max. Always have lollies, always have chocolates, always have biscuits, always have yummy things. Because there's lots of reasons for that, and now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. But the first reason is I want you to feel like a welcome guest in my home. This is my home. I don't know what your favourite foods are. You might be a fruit eater, so I'm going to have fresh fruit. You might be a cereal eater, so I'm going to have lots of different kinds of cereal. You might like to drink tea. At Max, you'll find we'll always have 4, 5, 6 different kinds of tea. You might drink coffee. You might have sugar in your tea, and you might have equal in your tea. I don't know what you love, so we have as many things as we can possibly have. And then we ask you when you get here, what are some of your favourite things to eat? What do you absolutely love to eat? What don't you like to eat? And the girls will then go out of their way when they go shopping to do morning and afternoon tea shopping to make sure that we always have one of your wow treats while you're in the college. Because people have different wants and needs and desires in regards to food. This is one of the ways I find out, by the way, where you're at with the emotional scale in food. The logical folks in the room don't even know that we have lollies at Max, because unless they feel like a lolly, and you know you've said that, oh God, I feel like a lolly. They go looking for one and they'll say, Super Sue, Sparkly, do you have a lolly? And the girls will go, yes, of course, there's a big bowl in the kitchen. They never even noticed that they were there. Someone will say, oh, I feel like a bit of fruit. Sparkly, have some fruit. And Sparkly will go, there's a big fruit bowl. They never even noticed that the fruit bowl was there because they're totally logical about food. Food is just part of life. It's like saying, do you have a dumbbell? Do you have a chair? Do you have a water bottle? Do you have a stapler? See, you only need a stapler when you need a stapler. You only need a piece of fruit when your body says, I need a piece of fruit. If you listen carefully, logically, you'll find that your body will love a piece of fruit every day because it's full of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytochemicals, and fibre, which will help you feel energetic, enthusiastic, and excited. Do you know how many people don't eat one piece of fruit every day because they're not listening to their body? It's interesting, isn't it? The emotional people who come to Max get angry with me every single month. See, the other thing that I do at Max is I look after the cheers and challenges, ideas, suggestions and comments. They all come to my email address. And every month without fail, I will get 2 or 3 of my students who quite strongly email me or call me and get aggressive with me because we have lollies at Max. They get angry with me because we have chocolate at Max. They get angry with me because we have chocolate cake for people's birthdays. Now, if somebody loves chocolate cake, guess what we have for their birthday? Chocolate cake. If somebody likes, I remember once one of my students, his favourite was beer, so we put a candle in the top of a can of beer and wished him happy birthday because that's what he loved. See, the emotional people get angry with me because angry is an emotion, not a logic. They get angry with me because there's lollies. And see, because lollies to them are a bad food, they would never have lollies or chocolate in their house because bad people have bad food in their house. That is not logical. There's no such thing as a bad food. If you eat the whole basket of apples, you will feel sick. That's bad. It's not the food that's bad, remember, it's the amount that you eat it in. When somebody loves a chocolate, to have a beautiful chocolate, have it melt in your mouth and thoroughly enjoy it is a wow experience. It won't make you fat. It won't take away your energy. In fact, it will energize you because you've had something you've thoroughly enjoyed. It's not about, well, I have some chocolate now, I've got to exercise for an hour. See, that's not logical. It's emotional. People who eat a Tim Tam and say, oh my God, I've put on 5 kilos. Weigh the Tim Tam. It does not weigh 5 kilos. It could not have put 5 kilos on you. Eat many packets of Tim Tams over a long period of time and you may weigh an extra 5 kilos. But eating a packet of Tim Tams is emotional. Nobody eats a whole packet of Tim Tams logically, because a packet of Tim Tams, a whole packet is not logical. Are we getting this? Now, the interesting challenge we've got, I'll just pick up my pen again. The interesting challenge we have when people are at this end, the ones that get angry because I've got lollies in the college and because we have chocolate cake for morning tea, because we shouldn't have it, it's bad food, and why are you putting me in a situation where I've got to have an argument with myself, because the only people that notice we've got lollies are the ones who don't want to eat them. And just quickly, you don't have to eat them. It's not logical just because there's a lolly there that you have to eat it. You don't have to, you can logically leave it there. But emotionally, people are having an argument with themselves. Oh my God, I should have, shouldn't have, shouldn't have, shouldn't have. And if they have one, they feel bad. And then they don't take responsibility for eating the lolly. They blame Rowie. Rowie shouldn't have lollies in her college. Come on, guys. If you're living in this place, if you are at this end of the emotional eating scale, if you are constantly fighting with yourself about food, if you have an argument with yourself every time you sit down, should I? No, it's bad. Yes, I'd like to. What happens now is when you are delivering recommendations and suggestions about food, you give that same information to your client, and it's very, very dangerous. I'm asking you to stick to the system, which is the W questions. Understand this emotional eating scale. Understand if you're at this end. Now, it's also very dangerous to be at this end when you're delivering information, because if you are totally logical about food and have no understanding that somebody's having an argument, you'll get this happening. And I'm going to give you one of the most awfulest, toughest, most horrible experiences that I have ever had as a fitness professional or as a personal trainer. I had a client who came to my gym. She wasn't a personal training client, she was a member who came to my gym. She was told by 2 or 3 other gyms in my town that she couldn't exercise there because she was anorexic. Now, I'm going to explain to you very quickly how somebody becomes anorexic and how somebody becomes obese, because I'm sure you've asked yourself the question, how can you be so thin that you don't eat any food, or how can you be so fat that you can hardly breathe, that you can hardly move, you can hardly walk, and there's no clothes to fit you? Well, interestingly, this 10 emotional scale, where you're constantly fighting with food, where food is controlling your life, now has another scale. At this end is where you sit down with food, have an argument with it, it's controlling your life, but you win. So every time you have an argument, should I, shouldn't I, should I really want to have this lolly, I really want to have this lolly, I really want to have this lolly, but I'm not going to have it, I'm not going to let this lolly beat me, I'm going to win. Well, ultimately what happens is you become anorexic. And what that means is that you are in control. You don't eat food, even if you want it, and you always do. And the anorexic girls and eating disordered ladies that I've dealt with, and the occasional man as well, they know every fat gram, every calorie, every protein gram, everything about food. They know more about food than any dietitian or nutritionist on this planet. They are totally and fixated and focused on food. Everything about their life is about food, but not eating it. They are so in control. The ultimate anorexic doesn't eat food. And that's what they're aiming for, that they're so strong and so powerful that they never have to eat. Because every time they have an argument, they win. Can you understand how illogical that is? So at this end of the scale is people who don't eat food. Food's controlling their life, totally emotionally controlling their life, but they don't eat it. This end of the scale is called obesity. And the really, really sad thing is if you, and you would never, but if you would ever try to explain to an anorexic that their mindset or their headspace is exactly the same as an obese person, they would find that incredibly offensive, because to them, they are the ultimate antithesis, opposite of the obese person, because obese people have no control and they're absolute losers. And can you believe that somebody could be so fat? Well, the interesting thing is that the emotional eating scale, they're in exactly the same place. Food is controlling their life. Except that with an obese person, when they sit down to have that argument, the food wins. So they say, should I, shouldn't I? Yes, no, no, I'm not going to do that. That's really bad. No, and they just eat it anyway. And now the food wins. In an anorexic or eating disordered situation, they win. I find this really tough because I believe that this is the answer. And I don't know if we can fix what's already happened, but can you understand now why it's so important that with our little girls and our little boys, we never say that's a bad food. Because when you say it's a bad food, that's not logical. Apples can be a bad food if you eat the whole bag, if you eat the whole bowl. There's no good or bad foods, there's just the amount in which we eat. And logically, the amount is little. The amount should suit the amount of activity. That's the logical thing. If you don't do very much, you don't have to eat very much. If you do very much, you have to eat a little bit more. Some people do so much they have to eat stacks. If you've ever watched an Ironman event where they're going exercising for 11, 12, 16 hours, they have to eat a lot just to keep up. Logically, please, we have to really, really focus on keeping this logical. There's no good or bad foods and the amount in which we eat it. Because if we don't fix this, we keep pushing people up this end of the scale. As fitness professionals, we say to people, don't have that, it's bad food, you shouldn't have it, you mustn't have it. And we're pushing people towards this end. And I'm going to be very politically incorrect. A lot of people become personal trainers or fitness people or even dietitians because they're so far at this end of the scale that they want to learn more about how to be more emotional. What we've got to do is push people down here. We've got to get logical about exercise. It's logical to do some exercise every day. It's not logical to exercise for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every day unless it's your sport, and even then your coach will tell you that you've got to rest and recover and get better and look at the balance in your life, the moderation in your life. Is this achievable? All of those common sense things. So what happens with our obese folks is that every time they have the argument, the food wins. It is not logical to eat such large amounts of food. It's emotional. When you ask a disordered eating person, why do you eat? Listen for the answers, because they don't need to tell you they've got an eating disorder. They'll say things like this. If they trust you, and if you've built rapport effectively, and if they want help, they'll say things like this. I eat because I'm angry. I eat because I'm mad with my kids. I eat because I'm emotional. I eat because it makes me feel better. See, feeling, apart from hungry, is an emotion. Feeling hungry is not emotional, it's logical. So what we want to do is push people down this end, because as soon as we're up here, we've got this could happen or we've got this could happen. And the really interesting one in between is what we call bulimia, which is when we have that same argument, food is controlling our lives, it's the thing we're totally focused on. We have the argument, we eat the food and then we want to get rid of it. We eat the whole bowl and then we want to get rid of it. Often, and I only know this from having spent many, many years managing health clubs, is often with men, for instance, they don't suffer from eating bulimia, they suffer from exercise bulimia. And I'll just give you the example of that. If I go out with the girls on Super Day Saturday evening and I say to my girlfriends, I'm not going to eat pizza or have a beer because I'm on a diet. The girls will say, oh, okay, I'm on a diet too, or thank you, I feel better now. It's normal environment with women to say, I'm not going to eat because I'm on a diet. Can you imagine a bunch of blokes going out for pizza and beer on Super Day Saturday evening and the bloke says, oh, I'm not going to eat that because I'm on a diet, and I'm not going to have a beer because I'm on a diet. See, it's not politically acceptable in most circles for that to happen. So what men do is they eat the pizza, they drink the beer, and then they come to the gym on Sparkle Day Sunday and exercise for hours and hours and hours and hours to try and get rid of it. Now, if you have a really good understanding of calories, if you have a really good understanding of input and output, and more importantly, if you have a really good understanding of the Smarties principle, see, the Smarties principle is focused on something you can stick to simply for the rest of your life. It's not about what you ate today that's important. It's what you eat consistently over the course of the week, over the course of the month, the course of the year, that makes the difference to the shape of your body. So a logical person will have a pizza and a beer and go, that was yummy. But it's not logical to drink large amounts of beer every day and eat large amounts of pizza every day. That's not logical. We know that. Emotionally, people studying take away food every day and drinking beer every day because they're looking for an escape. There's a classic example. Why do you eat? Because I hate my life and it's the only pleasure that I have. Well, how about we get some exciting other things happening in your life that isn't just food? Food's meant to be exciting, but so is exercise, and so is playing with your kids, and so is housekeeping. Because you know what? Keeping your house clean can be really exciting if you decide it to be. Life is about choices, and what we're asking people to do is make a choice to be fit, healthy and strong rather than have their lives controlled by food. Now, my anorexic girl came to me as a member at my health club at 29 kilos. I want you to imagine that, and she was ironically 29 years of age. So 29 years of age, 29 kilos. For those of you who don't understand weight and size, it's very small. I spoke with her doctor, who said to me, she's going to die this winter. She's she's an anorexic, obviously. However, she understands now that she isn't fat, because usually we have a disordered emotional vision of ourselves when we're anorexic as well. He said she's different to that. She understands that she's very, very thin. She's been through several winters now. And what happens when you have no fat and no muscle, you just have bone and skin, the body finds it very, very difficult to keep warm. What you'll find with anorexics that have been anorexic for a long time, they end up growing fur on their body, and it's not hair, it's like fur, because the human body is amazing the way it adapts. So what happens is these little girls, and I haven't seen extreme cases of anorexia in men, I've only seen it in little girls, so much so that their bones are like 90-year-old women, 16-year-old girls where their bones are see-through like spider webs, because when you don't eat enough food, your body then uses all the fat that you've got, uses all the muscle tissue you've got, and then it starts literally raping and pillaging your bones to try and get some kind of nutrient. So these little girls are in really bad shape. He said to me, she will probably die this winter, and if she doesn't die this winter, or if she does die this winter, it could even be on your gym floor. Are you prepared to take on that responsibility? Being the softie that I am, I said to my client, what will happen is this: when you come to the gym, I will let you exercise here and I will let you join, because he did say to me that what she loved doing was group exercise, and he said what you're going to be able to do for this young lady is provide her with a happy environment, which she can't get at home because she doesn't like to exercise by herself, and she will exercise anyway every day, but if she can come to your gym and exercise, it's going to be more pleasurable for her. So I was a softie and said, yes, you can come to my gym and you can exercise, but I'm going to weigh you every day. Now, of course, I would never do that in an illogical environment. But what I said to her was, and I'm finding it very difficult not to use her name, what's going to happen is I'm going to weigh you every day, and if you lose weight, you won't be able to stay. You have to maintain the weight that you are now. Well, what happened is I did weigh her every day because I was at the club most days, and she didn't lose any weight until one day I put her on the scales and she put on about 500 grams. And I was so excited that she had put on weight that I picked her up. Now, it's not very hard to pick up what I thought was 29.5 kilos. What I found around her waist was a weight belt. And what had been happening is when I weighed her, she'd put little weights in her belt to show me that she hadn't lost any weight, or in fact she had lost weight. The reason I share that with you, there's lots of reasons obviously. She ended up dying, but she didn't die from anorexia, which is usually brain failure, because the brain has nothing to run on anymore, which means the heart doesn't pump anymore, so they die from brain failure, heart failure. What happened was her husband, and yes, she was married, tried to force feed her, and what happened was, because he was logical, he couldn't understand. It got to the point where he just couldn't take it anymore, and he tried to force feed her, and unfortunately that's how she died. I'm sharing that with you because we cannot afford to push people to this end of the scale. The flip side of that is when you train people that are 140, 150 kilos, their blood pressure is at dying rate, their cholesterol levels are so high that their arteries can hardly get blood through to their heart. They're so overweight that they can't get out of bed. This is not the state that you cannot eat that much food logically. It's because we've put such a stigma on food, and we've taken away the pleasure of eating food and turned it into an emotional nightmare. Because we tell people that they shouldn't and they can't and they mustn't, and that's bad. I'm begging you, as an international fitness professional, please make it very, very clear to your clients that there's no good or bad food. It's just the amount in which we eat it. There's even no good or bad exercise, really. It's just the amount in which you do it. You do a dangerous exercise once, it probably won't hurt you. It's the continuation of that silly exercise over and over and over that gives you shoulder pain, knee pain, back pain. Do not injure your client, not emotionally, not physically, not spiritually. What we've got to do is make sure that we look after our clients so they can simply stick to this healthy, fit, strong, healthy lifestyle for the rest of their life. So the question is, what do you love to eat? Keep away from all this. What do you love to eat? What don't you love to eat? We're never going to make you eat what you don't like, and you can always eat what you do like. What are you currently eating at the moment? Let's make recommendations and suggestions based on what the person's already eating. If somebody's not eating fruit and vegetables, you can't add 7 pieces of vegetables every day straight away and expect them to change unless they decide to, unless that's a recommendation and suggestion that they're prepared to take on board. Little steps at a time. Somebody doesn't start training for a marathon by running 20 kilometres. We start them on walking from here to the front door, walking from here to the letterbox, walking from here to the shop, parking further away from the shopping centre and walking to the shops, taking the escalator and walking up the escalator rather than taking the lift, then walking up the stairs rather than taking the escalator. We make little changes to make long-term results. Little changes, long-term results. So, first question is, what do you love to eat? What don't you like to eat? What are you currently eating at the moment? Why do you like to eat? And remember, these are in exactly the same order as all your W questions, which makes it much easier to remember. So why do you eat? And the only reason we ask that question is to find out where people are on the emotional eating scale. They may not tell you. Somebody that's emotionally attached to food will also understand this process, and if they don't trust you and they don't like you, they'll just say, oh, because I'm hungry. And that means that you really need to make them your client for a long-term result, because until they trust you and tell you the truth, somebody that's obese or somebody that's very, very, very thin, there's a reason for it, and we need to find out what that is. Because someone that's very, 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 very thin, that's not healthy either, and we want to help them to be healthy, fit and strong. Nobody gets fat from eating air molecules. You know, people say to me, I don't know how I got this fat. Well, that's not true. We've got to find out what the reason is, and we've got to help them to be healthy, fit and strong. So why do you eat? The next question is, where do you eat? Exactly the same order. Now, this is a great question. Where do you like to eat? Do you like to eat sitting at the dining room table? Do you eat sitting at the kitchen bench? Do you eat sitting in front of the television? Do you eat at a restaurant? Do you eat at the drive-through, at the takeaway? Do you eat in the car? Where do you eat most of the time? You get a really good idea of whether people have a real set structure to their eating program, or whether they eat because it's just, you know, a fly-by-night thing. People sit down to structured meals. They usually have a different understanding, or perhaps even a more logical understanding to food than somebody that eats on the run, eats when they're angry, eats when they're upset. But you've got to ask all the questions. So where do you eat? Why do you eat? Where do you eat? When do you eat? Be very careful with this question. A lot of fitness professionals will ask this question. So, did you have breakfast this morning? Do you normally eat breakfast? Because we've always heard this. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to dispute that. What I'm going to ask you is to think a little bit wider than that, a little bit more common sense than that. When is breakfast for an international airline pilot? When is breakfast for a croupier at the casino who does the graveyard shift? When is breakfast for a night shift nurse? See, people have different lifestyles, and breakfast for some people is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Breakfast for some people can change 5 times in a week because they change time zones. So what I'm asking you to do is think a little bit more common sense than, did you have breakfast? What time do you eat? And just ask a general question. It goes like this. In general, what times of the day do you prefer to eat? If we followed you around for a week and you didn't think anybody was watching you, when would we find that you eat generally? And it could be people say to you, well, I usually have a muffin at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then my lunch is around 2 o'clock, and I have a bit of a snack at 4. And everybody's different. That's the whole thing. There's 3 meals a day, 5 meals a day, 6 meals in a snack. It's not necessarily going to be achievable for their lifestyle, realistic for their lifestyle, time efficient for their lifestyle. You've got to find out what they're doing at the moment. Don't make too many changes from what they're currently doing, because the changes can be little over a long-term period for long-term results. I'm going to say it again, small changes for long-term results. So when do you eat? So that's a time frame thing. When do you like to eat? In general, when do you sit down and have a meal, or when do you put food into your mouth? So a real general question. So what do you eat, why do you eat, where do you eat, when do you eat? Fairly basic, but you're going to get a great amount of information from all of those questions. Now comes the emotional questions. Not emotional at all if the person's down 0 on the emotional eating scale. So when do you eat? When you eat, how do you feel? Give me 3 words to describe when you put great food into your body. How do you feel? Now, logical end of the scale says I feel full, I feel satisfied, I feel good, I've had a great meal, I love it, it was awesome. Emotional end of the scale, this is the top end 10. How do you feel when you eat? I feel fat. I feel out of control. I feel guilty. I feel bad about myself. I feel that I wish I hadn't eaten. I feel suicidal sometimes. I've dealt with many eating disordered young ladies. So the question is, how do you feel when you eat? Really, really easy to look after when somebody says, I feel full, satisfied, fantastic, and I go on with my life. Versus, I feel guilty, emotional, bad about myself, I feel out of control. How do you feel if you don't eat? So how do you feel if you do? How do you feel if you don't? Same again, emotional, unemotional, logical end of the scale. How do you feel if you don't eat? I feel hungry. I feel dizzy. I feel weak. I feel like I need to eat some food. This is when a guy might say to you, I feel a bit angry because when I'm hungry, I want to eat some food. I get a bit snappy when I'm hungry because my brain's not working properly. See, but that's logical. Here's the emotional answer. How do you feel if you don't eat? I feel powerful. I feel strong. I feel in control. I feel good about myself. I feel positive. Now, one of 2 things. As an international fitness professional, you now refer. We want to go to a counsellor or a psychologist. You would say, this is a way out of my league. I would love to be able to help you with your exercise program, but we really need to get you some help the way you're feeling about your food, because you obviously have some emotional attachments and emotional challenges with food. I would get out there. However, as you can see from my point of view, I haven't in the past. What I've done is a lot of research, a lot of study, spent a lot of time with people and asked a lot of questions, and that's the most important thing. I've asked a lot of questions. I've also been very non-judgmental, and the reason why I've got answers is when my clients have said to me, Rowena, I've just eaten 5 packets of Tim Tams, I haven't gone, oh my God, can you believe how disgusting that is? I've said things like, really, what kind were they? Were they young? Because when people trust you and they believe you to be non-judgmental, they'll share with you. And when they're telling you the truth, then you can help. I have also been to the psychiatrist and psychologist and eating disorder counsellors with a lot of my eating disordered women, and they just lie their backsides off because they don't trust the counsellor, they haven't built rapport with the counsellor, they don't believe that the counsellor really cares about them or the psychiatrist really cares about them. If you are an international fitness professional, I believe you've done this for a reason. You've done this because you want to help people. And if you do, it's not about giving advice, it's not about counselling, it's not about being a psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm not asking you to do any of those things. What I'm asking you to do is to genuinely care about people, ask questions and listen. And if somebody is sharing with you that when they eat food they feel guilty, and you just ask the question, tell me about that, and they start telling you, Rowie, and I'll give you another example of one of my eating disordered girls. Her eating plan, in the morning she would eat a packet of juicy fruit chewing gum, she would chew the whole packet and then she'd throw the chewing gum away. But she would also count the number of times that she chewed the chewing gum. And if she chewed it too many times, she felt guilty. She would have a cup of tea and she would dunk the tea bag a certain number of times, and if she dunked the tea bag more than that number, she would throw the whole cup away and start again. She would eat food inside the circle of a particular plate that she had to eat, and if the food went outside that circle, she wouldn't eat it. She'd throw it away and start again. For those of you at the logical end of the scale, you're just thinking now, right now, I can see it in your eyes, I can hear you thinking it. What? That's just ridiculous. Well, when you're at the 10 end of the scale and you have no logic anymore in relationship to food, it's all emotional, that's exactly how you live your life. You become totally bizarrely bamboozled with everything that's going on with food. Can you see why I'm asking you not to push people up that end of the scale? If you do come across people like that, be non-judgmental. Tell me about the plate that you eat off. Tell me about how many times you chew the chewing gum. How many packets of Tim Tams did you eat? Some of my big obese girls, and I'll give you another example. I had a bulimic client, and to make herself sick, because she couldn't, it was really difficult for her to make herself vomit, she would eat 2 chickens and a watermelon. So she would buy 2 roast chickens, eat the whole lot because it was greasy. Then she'd have watermelon, which then she told me the water and the grease inside her stomach would make her feel sick. And because when you eat watermelon, it makes you feel sick because it's got so much water in it, and that would help her throw up. So at the end of the day, she would just eat this ridiculous amount of food, and then right at the end of the day, she'd eat 2 chickens and a watermelon so that she could throw it all up. Do you think this is logical? This is all emotional. But when she shared that with me, first of all, she shared it, which means she trusted me. Second, when she shared it with me, I went, really? Tell me some more. So I wasn't judgmental. I didn't have a look on my face like, oh, you're from another planet, you're an idiot. And what happened is I had clients who trusted me. When they trust you and you come then with the advice of, how about we drink some more water to have got clear wheeze? Rather than, you have to drink 1 litre for every 25 kilograms of body weight. Now they trust you, so they believe what you share with them. So it's really, the recommendations and suggestions that you make can be based on trust and genuine care, rather than she's telling me to do that because she's a counsellor. How do you feel if you do eat? How do you feel if you don't? If you keep eating the way you're eating now, exactly the same question as before, if you keep eating the way you're eating now, will you achieve your goal to walk into the party on the 24th of December looking bloody sensational, not the fat chick? See, I've brought it right back to the goal. If you keep eating the way you're eating now, will you achieve your goal? Yes, no, yes, no, yes. If the answer is yes, now, if you're taking notes, this is a really important part of this session, because I'm about to give you 4 rapport building questions, one's just a repeat, that will make sure that whatever the person's eating, they're prepared to share it with you, and they're prepared to continue sharing it with you. So I'm going to give you an example. You say to somebody, if you keep eating the way you're eating now, will you achieve your goal of walking into the Christmas party looking bloody sensational, not being the fat chick? And this woman who is currently under the care of a naturopath or a chiropractor or a dietitian will say to you, yes, Rowie, I'm on the mung bean, lettuce and green bean diet. So all I eat is mung beans, lettuce and green beans. Now I'm just making that up off the top of my head. Now you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to train this person and all they're eating is mung beans, green beans and lettuce. How am I going to get them to train like that? You cannot get this look on your face. Oh my God, I can't believe you're eating like that. Or you say to somebody, if you keep eating what you're eating now, will you achieve your goal? And they say to you, yes. And you say, you want to say you're an idiot because they're eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut, McDonald's and takeaway food every meal of the day. It's not up to you to tell them what to eat. At this stage, it's not even up to you to make recommendations and suggestions, because they haven't asked you to make recommendations and suggestions. They've told you that if they keep eating the way they're eating now, they will achieve their goal. So no dispute, no argument. All you're going to say is this. First question. Fantastic. You're happy with your eating plan. I'm going to help you with your exercise plan. A couple of quick questions. Do you, or how's that working for you? How do you feel that's working for you? Do you believe that this is a great way for you to eat? So you're eating mung beans, lettuce and green beans. How's that working for you? And they say to you, it's working fantastic. So the first question is, how's that working for you? And they say, fantastic. You say, awesome. Next question. Are you jumping out of bed Are you jumping out of bed with energy, enthusiasm, and excitement to start the day? And are you maintaining that energy throughout the day? Because, you know, some people fall asleep at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they get home at night and they're absolutely exhausted. Your eating plan, which is the fuel that you're putting into your body, are you jumping out of bed with energy, enthusiasm, excitement, maintaining it throughout the day, and you're coming home with heaps of energy as well? And if the answer is yes, you're going to have fantastic. You're going great on the mung bean, lettuce, and green bean diet. No argument. So first question is, how's that working for you? Second question, are you jumping out of bed with the 3 E's? It's easy to remember. Energy, enthusiasm, excitement, and you can maintain that throughout the day. Easy question. Third question, where you and I are going to be doing some exercise. We're going to be doing some healthy, fit and strong strength training and cardiovascular exercise to make sure that you're healthy, fit and strong. Do you feel that the mung bean, lettuce and green bean eating plan will keep you feeling healthy, fit and strong so I can push you quite hard during your exercise program? And they say, yes, I've got heaps of energy on the mung bean, lettuce and green bean diet. And you're going to say, that's awesome. So you really strongly believe that on the 24th of December at 7:30, you're going to walk into the Christmas party looking bloody sensational, not the fat chick, by sticking to the green bean, broad bean, jumping bean diet. And they say, yes, leave it alone. No more recommendations and suggestions on food. Leave it alone. Promise me you'll leave it alone. Because if you jump in here and say, that's a ridiculous diet, I can't believe somebody's put you on such a stupid diet, if you continue to eat junk food every day, you're just going to get fatter and fatter. You'll break down the report. They won't like you, they won't trust you, and they're never going to make a change. Ask the 4 questions. If the answer is yes, leave it alone, please. See, if this person's training with you, you will get to see them every week, sometimes twice a week. You'll be talking to them on email, you'll be talking to them on voicemail, you'll be talking to them on text messages, you'll be Skyping each other. You will be building a relationship where you're seeing them every single week. And it's so easy to ask those questions again, 3 weeks' time. How are you going on the bean diet? Are you still jumping out of bed with energy, enthusiasm, and excitement? Are you still feeling healthy, fit and strong? Do you still feel really confident that on this green bean diet you're going to walk into the Christmas party looking bloody sensational, not feeling like a fat chick? And she says yes, and you go, fantastic. With energy, enthusiasm and excitement. Because you can't change anything unless the person wants to change it. 5, 6, 10 weeks, 6 months, 12 months down the track. Are you still on the green bean diet? Kind of. How's it working for you? Oh, I'm a bit tired and lethargic. So you're not jumping out of bed with energy, enthusiasm and maintaining it throughout the day? No, not really. So do you still feel healthy, fit and strong so that we can make sure that you're doing lots of energy and strength training? Nah. Would you like me to make some recommendations and suggestions that might be a little bit different from the green bean diet? Now the person says, as a matter of fact, Rowie, I could really use your help now. Now we've got a whole different process going on. So when you get through the W questions, so what do you like to eat? What don't you like to eat? What are you eating at the moment? Why do you eat? Where do you eat? When do you eat? What time of the day do you like to eat food? How do you feel if you do eat? How do you feel if you don't eat? If you keep eating what you're eating now, will you achieve your goal? Yes, no. If the answer is yes, you've got to go into the 4 supplementary questions. They're really easy. How's that working for you? Big happy smiley face. How's that working for you, that green bean diet? Are you jumping out of bed with energy, enthusiasm and excitement and maintaining it throughout the day? So how's that working for you, the 3 E's throughout the day? Are you feeling healthy, fit and strong so that you can train hard? HFS, healthy, fit and strong. Are you feeling healthy, fit and strong? Are you feeling healthy, fit and strong? And the last question, supplementary question, so you really believe, and then you relate it back to the goal again, so it's the same question. You really believe that if you eat on the green bean diet, you're going to achieve your goal by the 24th of December. If the answer's all yes, we stop with the food now. We leave it alone. Leave it alone, leave it alone. If the answer here, if you keep doing what you're doing now, do you think you'll achieve the goal? The answer is yes. Now what's got to happen? Sorry, if the answer is no, guess what's got to happen? No, the answer is no. What would you like me to do as your fitness professional in regards to recommendations and suggestions to help you to eat more effectively so that you have got lots of energy so you can be healthy, fit and strong? It's really easy and you tap in really nicely. If the answer is no, I don't think that I'm going to eat the way I'm eating now, You have the right now to make recommendations and suggestions, but that's all. That's all. Recommendations and suggestions, nothing else, just recommendations and suggestions. Nothing else, recommendations and suggestions, recommendations and suggestions. We don't write diets, we don't write eating plans, we're not dietitians, we're not nutritionists. We make recommendations and suggestions. Now you know the recommendations and suggestions that Max, they're so simple. If we could get the whole world to drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze. The reason I focus on water so much is that the brain is 90% fluid. If you dehydrate, your brain doesn't function very well. What does your brain control? Everything. It controls your metabolism, it controls your moods, it controls your strength. Everything comes from your central nervous system, which is your brain. So if your brain starts to dehydrate, then the rest of your body doesn't function effectively. So it's not about 25 kilograms equals 1 litre of water. It's about get people to drink more water till they've got clear wheeze. It's easy to measure. If somebody's got long clear wheeze, guess what? They're hydrated. Simple. Ask your client, have you got long clear wheeze? First recommendation, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, drink more water till you've got clear wheeze. Easy. Second, eat more fruit and vegetables, eat more fruit and vegetables, eat more fruit and vegetables, eat more fruit and vegetables. Now, ask what they eat. If they don't like fruit and vegetables, we just look, we need to add, my recommendation and suggestion was want to add some vitamins and minerals, antioxidants and fibre into your current eating plan so that you have more energy and enthusiasm to get you through the day. And vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals and antioxidants, will stop you from getting sick and feeling bad. How so many people get a cold and flu in winter time, but if you eat lots of fruit and vegetables, you have lots of phytochemicals and antioxidants, so you feel better. So we just need to find something, and now I'm talking to you personally, so imagine you're asking me, so what is it, Rowie? You don't like fruit and you don't like veggies, but we want to have lots of energy and lots of enthusiasm, we want to have a fast metabolism, and we want to get all the junk out of your body, and we need fibre to do that. What possibly would be a suggestion for you to get you to have some fruit and vegetables? Could we eat one piece of fruit, one piece of vegetable that isn't a deep fried potato? If we could eat one every day, what would it be? See if we can get people started on one piece of fruit. And if they don't like fruit, could we drink a fruit juice? If they don't like vegetables, could we drink a vegetable juice? If they don't like vegetables, could we have a salad sandwich? Maybe we could have a Subway with some salad on it. Maybe we could order some roast vegetables. But what could we get you to eat, Rowie, that you would love that's just one piece every day? See, little changes for long-term results. Little changes, long-term results. If somebody's already eating 3 or 4 pieces of fruit every day, fantastic. If they're already eating fresh fruit and vegetables, fantastic. But guess what? There's plenty of people who don't. I had a client, and I use this story all the time. I had a client, his name was Matt. So I always ask my clients, how often do you do number 2s? Which is a really great question because it'll tell you how much fibre they're eating. Ideally, you would eat enough fruit, vegetables and fibre, whole grain things, to do number 2s twice a day. And the key here is that they slide out easily. I'm going to say that again, and don't you dare be embarrassed because everybody poos and it's really important to poo. At least once a day, twice a day is ideal, and they slide out easily. I said to my client, I used his name, but there's lots of Matts in the world. I said, Matt, how often do you do number 2s? And he said to me, Sundays. Can I share with you please that Sunday once a week is not good? I wouldn't share that with my client, and I didn't. I just went, oh really? And how does that happen? He said, well, I go to the bathroom with the newspaper and hope that something comes out. What that's sharing with me, he didn't have to tell me what his eating plan was, but you could guess straight away. We had very little fibre, in fact no fruit and vegetables. He lived pretty much on takeaway food and oven meals with no vegetables in them. Or sorry, freezer to the oven, microwave type meals. So little changes, little changes. We started putting 1 piece of fresh tomato on his bacon and cheese roll in the morning. We started putting an orange juice instead of his chocolate malted milkshake. Just little tiny changes, long-term results. So, eat more fruit and vegetables, eat more fruit and vegetables, drink more water till you got clear wheeze, drink more water till you got clear wheeze, eat more fruit and vegetables. Recommendations and suggestions based on the person's eating plan and the SMARTY principle. It's not that complicated. We add those recommendations and suggestions in only if the person says, no, I don't think I'm going to achieve my goal if I keep eating the way I'm eating. I do need some recommendations and suggestions. Once you've made the recommendations and suggestions, What are you prepared to do? So you've asked me how I can help you. I've given you some recommendations and suggestions. What are you prepared to do? And find out if they're actually prepared to do the recommendations and suggestions that you have asked. Last but not least, what barriers have held you back in the past? Rowie, you've told me today that you want to drink more water till you've got clear wheeze. You are keen to eat one piece of fruit and one piece of vegetable that is in a deep fried potato every day. You do want to do some exercise and get healthy, fit and strong. Based on all of that though, what barriers have held you back in the past as far as your food goes that you may not have been able to stick to that program simply for the rest of your life? And I might say to you, I don't like cooking, or I don't have time. We have to get over those barriers. You're going to have to find quick ways for your client to get fruit and vegetables, a quick way for them to drink more water till they've got clear wheeze. What I've just shared with you is all I believe, and this is only my opinion, that you need to know about nutrition, because there are experts in this world. They're called dietitians and nutritionists, and they understand all the chemical makeup of food. They understand the bio breakdown of carbohydrates and proteins and fats. What happens is that we make something so simple so complicated. We've done it with exercise. We made the simple art of lifting heavy things for your legs, lifting heavy things for your upper body, really complicated, and we turned it into 27 exercises, 3 sets of 10, 3 times a week, or don't bother. And guess what? People need to strength train and they don't, because we've made it so complicated. Cardiovascular exercise, get huffy puffy every day. Get puffed. Choose a way that you enjoy getting puffed and go and do it. But as fitness people, we've made it so complicated. You've got to do it for this long and that amount and please. The world is fatter and sicker and weaker and more obese and more screwed up in the head about exercise than it's ever been. And about food, we've really got that screwed up. And yet there's so much knowledge out there. What's happened is we've taken that knowledge and we've made it so complicated and so hard to understand that people have said, well, screw it. I don't understand it. And here's a classic example. If you go to the bookstore right now and you have a look at the health, nutrition and exercise section of the bookstore, every book in there will contradict what the other book said. There are very few simple principles that you'll find throughout every book, and guess what they are? Drink more water till you've got clear wheeze, and if that's not in the book, it should be, because your brain cells are 90% fluid and your body needs fluid to function. You should find in every single book, and not one expert on the planet is arguing that you need to eat more fruit and vegetables. You know what they argue about though? They argue about whether or not it's high glycemic or low glycemic. They argue about whether or not it's a good vegetable or a bad vegetable. I've heard personal trainers and fitness professionals say you shouldn't eat bananas because they're bad for you, you should eat apples because they've got too much, they're too high glycemic, all this kind of stuff. Guess what? Most people aren't eating fruit and vegetables. As fitness professionals, we've got to get them just starting. Little changes for long-term results. Smarties principle, something people can stick to simply for the rest of their life. Something that's moderation for them, something that's achievable so they don't feel like they're failing. If you have a client come to you and say, Rowie, I don't eat fruit, and yesterday I ate an apple, I ate a whole apple. Do you know for some of my clients I've cut apples up when they've come to see me, and they've really enjoyed it just because I took the time to cut the thing up. It's funny, at the college, when I get to spend a day in the college, and I absolutely love it. If you put an orange in the fruit bowl, most people won't take the time to peel an orange and eat it. However, if at morning or afternoon tea time you cut that orange up into quarters, people grab an orange and go, wow, that's so yummy. See, sometimes you've just got to find the little achievable things that make the big differences. As an international fitness professional, I'm begging you, keep people off the top end of that ridiculous emotional eating scale. Keep people away from feeling guilty about eating food, as we started with today. My goal is to get the whole world so excited about food and so excited about exercise that they act like a puppy dog. It's time to exercise and they go, yes, mummy, let's go. It doesn't matter if it's raining, it doesn't matter if it's cold, it doesn't matter if it's windy, it doesn't matter if it's hot. I want to go exercise because I love to exercise. And when it's food time, you should see my little Brutus puppy. He's a tiny little dog and he goes like this. He bounces up and down with excitement and he barks and he says, mummy, mummy, it's food time, and he just eats his food with passion. If we can get the whole world to exercise and eat with energy, enthusiasm, excitement and passion to be healthy, fit and strong, not about buffed, ripped and shredded. It's about healthy, fit and strong, long term, something you can stick to simply for the rest of your life.